Hello everybody, my name's Saz and this is Maths Made Easy. So I haven't posted for like multiple months, mainly because I was too lazy to, and I kind of forgot about this channel. But I'm back now, and I'm just continuing where I left off in my IGCSE Math syllabus series. So last time we did 1.2, which was sets. Now we're doing topic 1.3, which is powers and roots. So let's get into it. The first thing I'll show you is the screenshot from the syllabus, and this is basically everything we need to know. So I'll start extremely basic. What is a power? So a power is an operation you can do on a number. Oh, well, it takes two numbers. So if you have a number 3, right, we can take it to the power of 2, which is where I just write a small little 2 on top of it. And what that means is that it's 3 times 3. And then there's two 3s. It's 3 multiplies by itself 2 times. So if you have 3 to the power of 5, then that would just be 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, 5 times. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 3s. And generally speaking, 3 to the power of x, or x stands for any number, would just be 3 times 3 times 3, and there's going to be an x amount of 3s. If x is in integers, well, if x is a natural number, x can be negative and indices, but that we don't have to learn that. For now, for this topic, it comes later in topic 1 point, like something like a higher. It's indices, where we learn about negative and fractional powers. But for now, this is basically it. And generally speaking, the powers we'll be most commonly using is 3 to the power of 2 and to the power of 3. And we don't have to have just 3 as the base number. You can have any number, but yeah. This is called squaring. Oh, my bad for the bad handwriting. The thing moved. This is called cubing, and then everything else is just called to the power of. So it's just 3 to the power of 4, 3 to the power of 5, and so on. This is very basic stuff. You probably already know it. And there's also the inverse of that, which is the root. So, generally speaking, the symbol would be this. This is a square root. Or actually, I'll take a number that's not 3. I'll take 9. And what this does is one number squared gives you 9. So 3 squared is 3 times 3, which is 9. So the square root of 9 would be 3. Right? And so you can also say square rooting and squaring cancel each other out. So 9 square rooted, and then the whole thing, if you square it, it will just be 9. Because these two things cancel each other out, which is useful when you're working with equations with squares and stuff like that later on. And it's not just for squares. So when you're doing square rooting, you just do the symbol on its own. But if you're doing any other higher power, if you want to take it to the cube root, you just put a 3 here. So the cube root of 27 would be 3, because 3 cubed is 27. And then the 4th root of 81 would be 3, and so on, basically. Then, for this topic, there's also a decent amount of stuff you have to memorize, which is basically just the squares and cubes of certain numbers. So for squares, basically what you have to memorize is 1 squared, 2 squared, all the way up to 15 squared. And, well, you can just search up a list of these, or you can just do manually 1 times 1. But basically, you have to, well, I guess you don't have to memorize these, but it would be very, very useful if you did, so you don't have to manually work these out. Because you will get the squares of these numbers 1 to 15 in a non-calculator paper. Yeah. And then all the way up to this, which is 15 times 15, is 225. Yeah. You can just do any multiplication method you want, for especially these higher ones. But sometimes you will get the square root of 225, and in that case you just have to know it's 15. You can or you can just do trial and error, because you know it's good. You might think, oh, is that a square number, and then you get 15. I mean, there's also like just multiplication rules. So like if it ends with a 5, you know it's not going to be like 14 squared. So there's a bit of stuff you can do there, but to make it less memorization based, but it is decently memorization based. Then for cubes, the numbers you have to know is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then just 10. 1 cubed is just 1, 2 cubed is 8, 3 cubed is 27, 4 cubed is, let me think, 60 times what? Yeah, 64. 5 cubed is 125, and then 10 cubed is 1,000. You don't have to learn the numbers in between 5 and 10. And generally speaking, powers of 10 are very easy, because powers of 10 would just be like a 1 followed by the power amount. It would be a 1 followed by the amount of zeros that the power is. So this is just a 1 followed by 1 0, 2 followed by 2 0, and a 1 followed by 2 zeros, and a 1 followed by 3 zeros, and so on. And also another thing I forgot to mention, just letting you know, any number to the power of 1 would just be itself. So x to the power of 10 to the power of 1 would just be 10. 3 to the power of 1 just be 3, and so on. And another thing is that any number to the power of 0 would just be 1. So any number, it doesn't matter if it's like 10 to the power of 0 would just be 1. 35 to the power of 0 would just be 1. 1,000 to the power of 0 would just be 1. Yeah. And also 0 to the power of anything. So x would just be 0. Because it would just be 0 times 0 times 0 again. And that will always be 0. So, and here's something for you to think about. If 0 to the power of anything is 0, and x to the power of 0 is 1, what would 0 to the power of 0 be? You don't need to know this, it's just, I guess you can think about it. Leave your answer of what you think it will be in the comments. But yeah, other than that, this is a very, very simple topic, so most of the complicated stuff will come in the topic under indices, which I will make a video about when it comes up, because I'm just going to make these topics in order. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, please, and bye.